So, sort of detoured our plans, and Janice and I went to Chattanooga, and we went to that, and it was made me feel so good, the fact that you had these young kids that wanted to sit down and talk to you and ask you what you've done. And you know, so it plants a seed for all those kids, and I think that Junior ROTC is one of the greatest programs that we got going in this country right now. If you've got a child, grandchild, encourage them to participate in that, because it's amazing what they learn. Okay, it really is, and I was never exposed to it till my grandkids got into it. But it's a great seed to plant for these children that are in high school. So I encourage you to do that. But anyway, we came down and we were really late. We drove all night Thursday night to get down because we went to the Marine Corps birthday ball. And I wanted to take the preacher, but I couldn't. But anyway, he was over here at the IRCC. And I'm telling you, the Marine Corps does a lot of good stuff. And they invite Army people to go to it, and Air Force people, and even Coast Guard participants in this. But anyway, I was sitting there, and I looked across where the table over from me, and I've seen this Air Force colonel. And he swung around, and I thought I saw a Purple Heart hanging on his chest. And I thought, man, that's unusual for an Air Force person. Then
Come on.
But anyway, he turned around, and I saw that. I caught a glimpse of it. And then I met him out in the hallway, and I got to talk to this man because I was so picked up he had a Silver Star.
Wow.
Very heavily decorated veteran. And he was also a Vietnam vet. And I talked to him for a minute, and I said, well, when were you in Vietnam? He said, well, he says, I was there from 1967 to about 1972. And that never dawned on me about this fella, that his career. And he was a prisoner of war. He was shot down, the first mission he ever had in an F-4 family. He was shot down on the first mission and spent 6 years in Hanoi Hilton with John McCain. And he lives right here. His name is Michael Lane. And it was just, we had an interesting talk, you know, but I look at that and I think that is a hero of mine, you know, that I met. And I read his information. They've written a story, Janice put it on Facebook if you want to read this. He more or less said, you know, we didn't pray every day. We prayed all day. All day, every day. You know, and I've heard stories that those guys would pray for a cockroach to come across so they could grab it and eat it, and that's terrible. But to live like that for 6 years, really, it's hard for me to fathom how the torture and what all that individual went through. You know, that's amazing. But listen, Jay said, I want you to, when he asked me to speak, he said, I want you to talk about what it is to be a veteran. It is something that, when you were talking about how we grew up, we was not raised under the same atmosphere that the kids are now. Jay and I were both raised in an area called the Cotton Mill Village, which most of the people in my neighborhood, believe it or not, and I didn't recognize this at the time, were mostly World War II veterans. I mean, a street full of them, you know, that all were in World War II, and that was the neighborhood that we grew up in. And of course, as a kid, I knew that, but I didn't. I guess I didn't think a lot about it at the time or appreciate it until I got a little bit older. Matter of fact, I would go down there and I'd walk those same streets where I was raised, and I said, wow, Mr. Simpson lived there. He was in World War II. Mr. Pridemore was in World War II. And I thought, my gosh, you know, we were just surrounded by these veterans and what they had done, you know, the greatness that they brought to us that we have here today. I mean, they gave us a gift. And I felt lucky that I was raised that way. And but as I was growing up, And I remember I was with my mother, and we were going up the street of what was called East Sevier Street. Jay's lived on Sevier Street. We lived on Sevier Street. But I saw Jim, who was Jay's brother. He had went in the Army. And you know, some people can wear a uniform and they look really good. And some people can put it on and they look okay. But it's just the way some people really look good in a uniform. His brother was one of them. I remember him standing up there. He was standing beside a car in a khaki uniform. He was airborne. And I thought, man, that's what I want to be one day. I mean, I can see him vividly now, just standing there. And I mean, he just, as a young kid, I thought, man, that is something, it's just like I remember that to this day. He was one of the people that I looked up and respected, you know, the fact that he did that. And that was probably in the early 60s. You know, I was probably 13 years old. I don't know. But anyway, I had other heroes within that, and I think I may have told you this, but within that street of about 4 blocks, within a period of 1966 to about 1968, 22 young men were drafted out of that village during the Vietnam War. I mean, they were just gone. And my brother was one, Jay was one. But one of my best friends was drafted. You know, and back then we had the draft. And I'm telling you, we need to institute a draft.
Yeah.
And politically, these politicians just do not want to do that. But they're afraid to say to these young individuals that you need to serve this country. You know, it got so bad even in this Iraq wars that we were fighting in Afghanistan. We were taking people in the Army. I don't know about the other services, but we took people up to 45 years old, no prior service.
Wow. Wow.
Now, you never heard that. They didn't broadcast it, but politically they said the all-volunteer Army is working. It worked. But we were broken too, in many ways, just like you were saying, that you have to supply and support the element. Let me tell you, we've expended so much to other countries right now. I'm concerned about the munitions to even protect our own selves.
Amen.
Okay? Now, why am I concerned about that is because we have lost so much of our industrial ability to make anything. And that's been our strength. All these years, we've had the ability to make things to protect ourselves. I've always said this: the Army can draft a soldier and they can make him a soldier in 10 weeks, and he can shoot a gun, he can shoot a rifle, he can drive a tank, he can do all those things. But the man that made the rifle and the man that made the tank, we don't have that. You know. We've become so dependent on resources outside this country that it's a real concern to me. And I know that in these last wars that I saw cannibalization of tanks where we didn't have road wheels.
Right.
I lost a deuce-and-a-half truck in Iraq in the first Gulf War, and you know why I couldn't get it out? Fuel filters. Did not have fuel filters to start the truck and get it out. Something as simple as that. It's the supply chain that supports the soldier. It is very critical, and that's the part that's missing. It is the civilian workforce that has to build and maintain. They're as much a part of our defense as anything. They're critical. But anyway, I got off onto a rabbit trail there. I'm glad to the fact that I was able to serve my country. But I want to tell you a little bit about a particular unit that most of you probably may know, may not know, I don't know. But this was a unit during during the Vietnam War. This unit was called the Walking Dead. And the reason they were called the Walking Dead because heavy, heavy, heavy combat that they were in during the Vietnam War. The battalion entered the longest sustained combat and suffered the highest killed in action rate in the Marine Corps history, especially during the Battle of July 2. The battalion was engaged in combat for 47 months and 7 days. December of 1966 to 14 July 1969, based on a typical battalion strength of 800 Marines and Navy corpsmen, 2,892 Marines lost their lives. That's a lot of Marines. I want you to stand up, Jay. I don't want to embarrass him, but he survived that.
Amen.
He was my hero. I looked up to him and my brother. Marine Corps was good to Jay. He was proud of the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps made him what he is, for the most part. God finished it.
Yes, yes.
Jay, I'm proud to know you. Y'all lucky to have you.
Amen.
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 I'm proud of all the Marines, soldiers, airmen, Coast Guard, and all the people that supports the military and civilian jobs or anything else, and even the taxpayers. But we've got to do something right now.
Amen.
And I pray for this country.
Yes.
Thank you.